The other day,
I met a bear.
In tennis shoes.
A dandy pair.
The other day I met a bear. In tennis shoes, a dandy pair.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Angie.
I'm Rhonda.
We're Adventures in NoMadness. We want to help you be bear aware and stay safe while you're hiking and RVing. So stay tuned for some of our best tips. Hey, we're hiking in the North Cascades National Park today, and we actually saw a bear, which was awesome. It's not my first bear encounter though, so we want to give you our best tips for being bear aware and bear safe, whether you're hiking or in your RV.
Believe it or not, bear spray is not used like bug spray. You don't spray it on you, you carry it with you.
Oh Lord.
Well, first and foremost, make noise. We're not proponents of using bear bells.
I hate bear bells.
Back in the 80s when I hiked, I always had a bear bell. That's what everybody used. But most people now will tell you that bear bells, sometimes by bears, are confused as just a bird sound, not really a human sound. What you want to do is make sure that they know you are coming. And so we yell out, "Hey bear," and we slap our hands on our pants, and we just make noise or talk loud so that they're not they hear us coming and they're not startled. Now today when we encountered it, we were making noise and in fact about 8 people and a dog had just come around that same corner not 30 seconds before we went around the corner and saw the bear.
Yeah, so they didn't see the bear. The bear had crossed behind them. They had no clue that there was a bear basically right behind them. And they had passed us going that way, and we came around the corner and there was the bear. Yeah, like Rhonda said, neither one of us are proponents of the bear bells. I don't think the decibel level out of those are very loud, whereas your voice can be much louder than that. And if you're near a creek or something like that, the bear's not going to hear your silly little bear bell. Sorry if you use bear bells, so not to offend you, but the bear's not going to hear a bear bell over a creek or the rustling wind. But if you talk loud enough, the bear can definitely hear that. And so singing and carrying on, saying, "Yo, hey bear," every once in a while, to me is one of the best things you can do. I think also with bear bells, for some people it gives them the false sense that they could just, walk around like Santa's sleigh, dingle, 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 and they don't really have to worry about it. They don't have to call out with their voice.
Right.
And that's enough to protect them. And I disagree with that. It's kind of like having a gun and just thinking that, hey, I don't have to make any sound because if a bear comes, I just whip out my gun and shoot it. And there's been plenty of people with guns that have gotten mauled by bears because they couldn't get their gun out in time.
Mauled and killed.
Mauled and killed.
So number 2, if you should see a bear, stand your ground. Don't run. If you're going to move slowly away, backwards.
Make yourself look really big.
Right.
Hey, back up, yell bear. Make yourself look really big. Boo. Hey, carry on and wave. And don't look the bear in the eye too. That could be a sign of aggression for them.
At Katmai, they basically said, if a bear is walking down the trail, just step off the trail. They want that trail. Don't think that you're going to stand your ground and they're going to just move away. So they tell you to slowly move off the trail and get out of the bear's way because they're used to using the trail. That's their home. And
they're used to you being around too. They're pretty habituated to people in those types of places. Now, I've had some encounters with bears. One really, really bad encounter. I've been a park ranger before and a hiking guide. Matter of fact, I'm wearing my old hiking guide hat. The Alaska Nature Guides. Awesome company, by the way. But, bears are wild animals and they can be extremely unpredictable. And, I've got sometimes the worst karma or, whatever you want to call it. If I say something's not gonna happen, it's gonna happen. What's that called again? Oh, Murphy's Law.
Murphy's.
Yeah, Murphy's Law. So, I was leading a group. There was 15 of us in our group that I was leading on a hike in Denali State Park. So lots of grizzly bears, lots of black bears in that area. And I go to the Princess Lodge, and I pick up our group with 13 guests, myself, and another guide. And first off, this woman was just like, I'm really afraid of bears. We're not going to see a bear, are we? And I'm like, no, we won't see a bear. Murphy's Law, right? So, of course, because I said we won't see a bear with that big of a group, we should not have seen a bear with that big of a group. There's no way. Bears typically don't want to be around people. They want to go do their own thing, go look for salmon, go look for berries to eat, and they really don't want to be near us. And so with a group that size, it just wasn't, in my opinion, something that was going to happen. But she was really afraid of bears. I said it was going to happen. We go on our hike, and the whole time, someone's like, where is it? I heard something. Is there a bear out there? No, there's no bear. So we stopped at the other side of the lake where there were some primitive tent campsites, and all 15 of us are having our lunch there. We're a little bit spread out in this tent camp area, and I was talking with her and her husband and the other guide, and she looks up, she looks at me, her face turns white, and she said, there's a bear. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, lady. And she's been super hypersensitive about bears the entire time, and I thought she was probably just seeing something on the trail above us. And I looked up, nope. Sure enough, there's a black bear heading straight into the middle of our group of 15 people. Now, the other guide, who's actually the owner of the company, grabbed his bear spray. I grabbed mine, and we started running after the bear. Prime goal at that point was to try and scare the bear away, and I'm yelling at our group to back up. I'm like, bear, 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 we're backing up into one big group, right? And the bear runs away, turns around, stares at myself and the other guy in the face, and wasn't going to budge after that. But he really wanted our lunches. So he circled around back towards our group of people who are still in one big group, and was trying to get the lunches, but I headed him off at the path. So this bear is going back and forth between me and the other guide, and was just afraid of us enough that doesn't quite want to breach our presence and get to the food. So after a pretty tense standoff, this bear decides that he's just gonna go off on his way. We're like, oh great. So it was a pretty scary encounter, to the point where we kept us, all tightly bunched up as one big group on the way back, and nobody wanted to carry their leftover lunches. So of course myself, being the primary guide that day, had everybody's leftover lunches in my pack, and they have a schedule to keep. This is Princess cruise ship people that have to get back to the lodge in order to get on their bus, in order to make their train connection and head on home. So we had to try and keep that schedule. So get everybody back together again, and get around the corner. I'm like, holy shit, there's a bear. And I'm like, bear, 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 and I get everybody bunched back up again. The other guy comes running up from the back because he thought the bear was behind us. He goes, what? I said, there's another bear. Well, in hindsight, pretty sure that bear was the same one. He just decided to hit us off the path, so to speak. So we all turned around, double timed it as fast as we could on back again to the lodge. And that poor woman that was afraid of bear the whole time had picked up a rock that wouldn't drop that rock until we got back on the van. So I felt really bad for her. The point of this whole story is that bears are wild animals, and despite all of our tips sometimes on being bear aware and trying to avoid encounters with them, sometimes they're going to happen. So, how do you prevent that standoff from getting any worse? Like we said, making yourself look really big, not stand your ground.
Carry bear spray.
Carry bear spray, which I have. I know how to use it. Yeah. You don't just carry it around like, oh, okay, I'm going to figure it out if I actually need to. I found out the other day that they make dummy bear spray canisters.
Yeah.
Had no idea. A friend of ours had told us about it, and she was going to try it out on her husband. So anyway, they make dummy bear spray cans for about $6 that you can pull it out. So hold that for a second. So for me, I've got this in a spot where I can just rip it up real fast, take it out if I need to. There's a safety clip here. I'm not going to take the safety clip off right here. And then do that. So I've got it super handy right here.
So I think the stories actually bring up multiple things. We talked about bear spray. We talked about a bear coming to an area that was heavily toured and people stopped and had lunch in the same place all the time. So when you drop food, you should pick it up. Don't leave it for the animals, because you're basically teaching those animals that that's a good place to come and get food. Now, squirrels aren't necessarily going to bite your hand off, but a bear might just do that. And if you do have a bear encounter, don't throw your food at the bear. You're teaching him that if he attacks people, he gets food. Again, not a good thing to teach a bear. So, see what else? Oh, and storage. So, we've seen people leave big bags of their dog food outside in an area that's well known to have bears.
Yeah.
Thus, you might as well just leave your food out. I mean, it's the same thing. So, I mean, bears have a really, really high sensitive nose. They can smell a lot better than a dog. So, the smallest amount of food for a hungry bear is enough to bring them into your camp. So, avoid that by not being a good camper and a good hiker. Don't litter food and don't leave your food outside. If you're a backpacker, I highly recommend bear canisters.
Matter of fact, a lot of places will require those.
Right, and where we're camping right now, they actually have food storage for anybody who is tent camping or just has stoves or whatever. So you don't have anything that has a set of food outside. And I think lastly, I would say that I, in general, am more afraid of the crazy nutball people I might encounter on the trail than I am of wildlife. That doesn't mean I'm not prepared for both.
Yeah, amen. So a lot of if you're doing any backcountry camping, some parks will make you have an orientation and make you either buy or rent a bear canister, or they'll let you know if there's a bear hanging facilities available, or if you can just hang your food. Hey, another note on bear spray, it actually has an expiration date. I had 4 bear canisters, they were all out of date. I kept the 2 that were kind of the least out of date, and then when we moved out of our house, I took the other 2 to a hazmat collection site, neighborhood hazmat collection site, and they disposed of it there. So keep that in mind. It probably is okay, but it could lose its potency. We actually need to buy some more, and REI's got it. It's expensive though. About $50 a canister, but it does last for quite a few years. There's a bit, the recent stories of people feeding the bears in Oregon, and the poor bear had to be euthanized because of it. That's probably the biggest reason why I had that bear encounter at Denali State Park. There was a campground there, and that bear that was very aggressive with us probably got into someone's food at the campground. Hey, so if you're in an RV, you also have to be very bear aware. Tent camping or RVs. At the campground that we're in right now, there's bear lockers, more for people that actually are tent camping, but keep your food in there, keeping your campsite clean and not leaving food out on the table. We've seen plenty of places where people are absolute slobs and they've just got food and crap out everywhere. And if that area doesn't have a bear problem, they're eventually going to have a raccoon problem, which can be pretty nasty as well. There's places like Yosemite where you can't even have a window open in your car because the bears have learned to get in your vehicles. So find out what's particular to that area you're going to be in, and if there's extra precautions you have to take. There's some parks that won't even allow soft-sided tents or tent campers, tent trailers anymore, because the bears will go to them to get food. So looking to see what the local regulations are and local scene is like where you're going to. And hopefully you will see a bear in the wild and not too close.
Bears are beautiful creatures, but just remember, they're not fluffy teddy bears like the stuffed animals that you grew up with. They're wild animals, and they can kill you as quickly as that. And they can actually cover a lot of space in a big hurry. So it might seem like they're far away, but for a bear, not so much.
So we've had the opportunity to see quite a few bears out in the wild. I've had that way too close of encounter in Alaska that I never hope to have again, because it was very aggressive, very assertive in what he wanted. But hey, we're still here. We're still hiking, unless we did something right. Rhonda and I wanted to add something to our bear tips. You'll see us hiking from now on with both of us having bear spray. And the reason is I knew somebody that was severely mauled up in Alaska. And the only way this person survived is because there was another guide. This person was mauled, had no chance to react whatsoever. Was a mama bear and was not happy. She was charged, and the guide had no time to react at all. There was another guide, and that guide also had bear spray, and he was able to run up and actually spray the bear, and the bear left. Took a swipe at that guide, but he was pretty injured, but not as bad as the first guide, who had to be airlifted to a hospital. So if it was not for that second can of bear spray, that guide could have lost life that day. There's another story. There's a story I read in Outside Magazine just a couple weeks ago about a guy who couldn't get the cap off his bear spray, and actually the only way he was able to fight the bear off is he actually had an axe with him. He felt bad afterwards because he felt like if he'd been able to spray the bear would have survived. But it's again one of those things that if there's two of you, 2 cans, better than one.